have a look and see what happens as we head into the games. We're going to be starting off in the bottom left-hand side because Nia just doesn't like starting in the top right, apparently. In the bottom left at Red Pros, it is going to be ShoWTimE.
And his opponent, expect a tweet if he wins this one, it is Krystianer.
Don't we expect a tweet if he wins or loses?
I guess we can, maybe, possibly.
Just depends on the on how he's feeling on the day.
Depends, yeah. I mean, if he beats, I feel like if he beats ShoWTimE, that'll be like a good tweet. And then if he loses to someone else like of the caliber of ShoWTimE, then that'll be an interesting tweet. Yeah.
I was just thinking back to the classic tweet about Clem after he lost in the finals of the Open Cup that time.
that was the classic. That was the classic.
That was a classic. He knows it as well, man. This is gonna get brought up forevermore, unfortunately for him. But
yeah, it should. Yeah, people have to make an example out of those things, you know, so they don't happen again.
Sometimes you just gotta stop and realize that maybe Clem's just a little bit good, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, could it be that Clem is a little bit good?
Yeah, he's pretty neat. But yeah, no Clem today. I believe he already won yesterday. Only took a 2-1 though, I believe, against Battle B. So it was a map.
That was a great match.
Yeah, you cast that yesterday, right?
Insane.
I didn't get a chance to catch it, but great to see Battle B do so well. Battle B is on fire.
Yeah,
man.
Battle B really put up a fight. He almost won too. Like, he could have won that game 3-2. But the game that he won, I mean, he looked insane at winning. You know, he was. He's so promising, I think.
Oh yeah, no, I've been casting him in WTL Code A and stuff as well, and it's cool to see the guy just putting his team on his shoulders and just getting the work done. Confident in all sorts of games. He beat Wayne on day 1 of this event as well. I casted those games, and that was a lot of fun because, like I said, it's just cool to see a guy that I've been casting for a long time, watching him rise the ranks, make it deeper into online events. Now he's out here in the regionals, and he's picking up wins. That's just awesome. So, cool story.
Cool story indeed. I'm looking forward to what he continues to do. And yeah, I mean, we have Krystianer, like similar trajectory, I guess, right? Like 2 newer players that are kind of making their mark here. Very different players, however.
Well, I was going to say Krystianer's actually been like on the verge of playoffs and in playoffs, maybe even one time as well. He's constantly, when he's in these groups, such a challenger to make it out alive. So it's always like such potential kind of looming around Krystianer. I'm always excited to see when the season is that he's going to actually not just make playoffs, but like make a run in playoffs, you know, get into those playoffs and win a best of 5 or 2. I'm excited for that because I feel like that's really only a matter of time.
It could be this one. And you think he's ready? He's ready for it?
I think he can. It depends on the bracket. Like, you know, first round can always be like a tough draw, but there's definitely players who make playoffs that Krystianer can beat in a best of 5, you know? So, bracket dependent, yeah, I think he can make a run, which is why, like, one season, I just think it's going to happen. It may not be this one, may not be the next, but at some point, I genuinely think it will be the case.
For sure. Now, interestingly, Krystianer has always liked this kind of opener in PvP, right? Like where you get the adepts, and he hasn't seemingly like much adapted to the Sentry change, or is this still viable? Is this still good, do you think?
Yeah, I guess it's still good because you still keep your opponent back. It's just there's less potential in what you can pick up because oftentimes right now he'd be like, oh, can I grab a Sentry? Now that's just out the question. So there's less potential with it, but the idea is still good, right? You get map control, you're threatening mineral lines, you give yourself a chance to get your oracles in position. I mean, in this case, ShoWTimE defends very well, but yeah, I mean, maybe this is one of the weaker points because you can actually leave the sentries alone on the low ground. The adepts aren't just going to be able to kill them, while having Stalker split in the main more easily to deal with the oracle, right? So in that way, it's maybe a bit weaker, but I think, in general, its goals are still fine. What it can achieve is still okay.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, what ShoWTimE did was so cool, right? Like, he actually sent the 2 stalkers out, and the Krystianer thought, maybe I have a chance, but hey, he's actually gonna shade into the natural, into a lot of units, but trying to combo with the oracles who arrive a little bit late, and ShoWTimE with beautiful micro as well, tucking the probes when he needs to, still loses 7 of them, so it's not nothing, and the oracle does survive, so when all is said and done, was that worth it?
Good question, Gats. Was it worth it?
It's tough, it's close, right?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of get 7 workers, and I think that absolutely is good enough, because you're now going to be a few workers ahead. It loses you your unit count, but it's not like ShoWTimE has anything to immediately go across the map with. Blink will finish, but by the time Blink is done, you have your own Stalkers up, plus a battery defensively. I think the problem is what ShoWTimE is doing, which is immediately taking the third, because Krystianer may struggle to take the third. So I think it's kind of fine on both sides in the end, because ShoWTimE recognizes, like, oh, 7 probes would be bad for me, but now I can get away with a slightly sooner third base, and if he can get away with that, put a bit of pressure on with the Stalkers, I think overall we just net ourselves into a fairly even position still, 1 or 2 workers difference perhaps.
Yeah, I think so. And to elaborate on what the word is saying, the third is allowed by the fact that he has the more units that he retains, right? So there's no chance that his opponent can apply pressure, so he's just like, I'm gonna just dump it. Whereas on the other side, Krystianer has to be a little bit more careful. He does have still both oracles, which is huge, right? Again, if he just had the one, or if he had lost both and one stayed alive by the skin of his teeth, then that would be an opportunity for ShoWTimE to have also made use of his larger army that he had for the last couple of minutes to be like, hey, you are not allowed to take a third. But with those oracles looming and out on the map, much more difficult as well for ShoWTimE to utilize that power.
Yeah, and ShoWTimE didn't like rock across the blink, right? So like you say, he's just gonna chill. And this is gonna lead us to this position now where ShoWTimE actually has a couple workers lead. The army supplies are even enough. ShoWTimE's on +1 faster, but then Krystianer goes double forge, so you could argue that there's one advantage from ShoWTimE in the faster upgrade, but then eventually Krystianer will have double upgrades. So we're in a position where very much so the lead is still kind of interchangeable. We're in for a bit more of a macro-focused PvP, right? 3 bases each. Our last couple games of PvP were a little bit on the faster end of things, so this one might get a chance to see something a little extra.
Yeah, for sure. Krystianer trying to bait a little bit there with the Stalkers, and he's actually going to go into a mineral line with the Adepts, onto the other mineral line with the Stalkers. He has Blink available into the main as well with the Oracle. 5 probes all day. Very nice job from Krystianer.
Yeah, I like him, man. He did a pretty neat job of this, right? Just gets in, gets a few more workers again, comes back in with this Oracle. That may be a step too far. We're going to lose it. Yes, we are. Yeah. So that at least is good news on the side of ShoWTimE to clean that up, but I think you can't really complain if you're Krystianer, right? You've killed a few more probes. You're netting yourself a worker lead off of this. Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. It's ever so slight, the worker lead, of course. Losing the Oracle is a little bit painful. But other than that, I think, yeah, he's going to be happy with it, or at least not too sad about it. And both players are now going to expand towards each other onto their 4th base, which is pretty interesting. I guess, is this the normal flow that you see most often for this map?
I actually don't know for PvP, but it probably makes sense, I guess, because forward positions in PvP are very powerful because you're going to have the ability to kind of just battery it up, right? And then you basically own the center. And when the game evolves into the Disruptor Wars, evolves or devolves, depending on how you view of Disruptors, but, you know, you essentially get to this stage where, you know, a choked up middle of the map area is just very easy to control. Your Disruptors are going one way, your opponent's Disruptors are coming the same way. You know, there's just not a lot of variation there, and I think that's a lot of the time what these guys look for at this point in the game, right? So, yeah, I think
and
that's...
these bases are so close to each other, and with the high grounds too.
Yeah.
Is it absolutely bananas? Would it be too crazy to see Tempests in a situation like this?
Probably not, just further down the line, because going Tempest right now gets you killed because of that investment is just so high. But, like, further down the line, why the hell not? Like, it's very possible that they stall out on Disruptors. I mean, you see the Dark Shrine coming up as well. That's another reason why you don't really want to be expanding off to the sides, because that's just something else to worry about. As we get in, kill a Stalker, we get out. It's intense.
That is intense indeed. And yeah, I mean, Dark Shrine, like you're saying, that's going to be good, a good tool to keep the expansions on the fringes kind of like in check. But yeah, beyond that, I mean, I don't see much tech on either side, right? Like, I would expect the Disruptor is the next tech for both players. I'm surprised. They both kind of skipped also through the Immortals. I don't know what to attribute that to. And charge now gets started to Krystianer, for Krystianer.
Spot from ShoWTimE there, just sees the Prism and where it's setting up, and just knowing that that's already the setup location is nice because you can be preemptively ready against it. And just continue to move around here. Those Stalkers want to come around that backside just so they can kind of get in and cause a little bit of trouble. Obviously, ShoWTimE would like to just make sure that doesn't happen, so yeah, a little bit of a standoff. Positioning has been great so far, and again, as Dark Shrine comes up, we'll see if ShoWTimE can do anything with that, as otherwise, this has not been too crazy.
Is it a Mexican standoff or a regular standoff?
It's a Protoss standoff, no?
A Protoss standoff, that's fair.
What's the difference between a Mexican and a regular standoff, guys?
I have no idea, actually. It's usually people say Mexican standoff before saying standoff, and you just said it's a standoff. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Alright, fair enough.
Yeah.
Classic.
+3 faster for ShoWTimE, actually, as Krystianer is just finishing +2. He is getting the double upgrades, though, so maybe that'll be better for him down the line. Breaking some rocks now as well, so maybe charge slots will be a little bit more powerful as the game progresses. But DT's into the main, and there's no observer or cannon here where they chose, so this is getting nasty fast.
Yeah, I like this a lot for ShoWTimE. You show up, and this is going to cause disruption, right? Because now you can go around the map and take fights, and Krystianer has to deal with that aggression in his main base while also dealing with this fight in the center, and this obviously becomes just a problem across the board, and that's exactly what we are seeing. That problem is going to just be resounding for a little bit here as they do take this larger fight, and it is ShoWTimE to continue to come through, pushing back this army in the middle. Pins forward, he's going to get the Prism, and ShoWTimE is just netting himself a good supply advantage off the back of all of this.
Yeah, some gorgeous force shields as well against the charge slots just in time to section them off, so it makes the commitment for Krystianer inevitable, and the bleeding of his army on retreat also an inevitability. So now ShoWTimE is pressing on forward. That's a saving grace for Krystianer, who blinks on forward. I'm not sure if you have the means to capitalize on the back of that, so he's just gonna have to disengage. And yeah, Krystianer in a whole lot of trouble there. Beautiful moves, 1-2 punch from ShoWTimE on the back of the DTs.
Yeah, just great play, right? He knew the moment the DTs dropped in, he's like, oh, this is my opportunity, right? As this fight does have the Zealots there for Krystianer. Does that make enough of a difference? I think we've got enough Stalkers here that we are just loving life right now. We're able to take out all those Zealots. We're standing fight. We saw chase the Stalkers down afterwards, and this is looking absolutely great. So far, so good. So, yeah, looking good across the board, and ShoWTimE definitely looking like the favorite right now in this game number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. It's looking difficult for Krystianer to recover. He is making an extra Nexus right now, so gutsy man indeed in the face of how much is at his doorstep. And ShoWTimE, I think, can do a blink forward here if he wants to. Tends to be a pretty conservative player for the most part, but I think now I think Krystianer GG's before ShoWTimE blinks forward. It really speaks to how conservative he was being with the blink there.
Recognized exactly what was about to go wrong. He was like, you know what? I'm good. Let's get out of this one and live to see another day at least. So, tapping on out, that is going to be ShoWTimE to take himself the 1-0 advantage. So our favorite is going to be the favorite so far, and I look exactly like that. Just well played. I mean, early game, I think Krystianer had some cool moves, but ShoWTimE kept his cool. He made plays based around what his opponent did, such as taking that third base, right? Because he knew he could, and just kept himself within reasonable distance in the game, and at that point, it's always going to come down to the later game moves and plays, and at that point, ShoWTimE absolutely just popped off, but we never really got to see Krystianer play, I guess, because he got caught off by the DTs before he was really able to do anything himself, so yeah, there's potential for game 2. We'll see if Krystianer takes a different route, because obviously we just kind of accelerated into a very macro-focused game this last time. Be interesting to see if we do a different way of kind of setting things up this time around.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, Krystianer probably the player who would try to change things if one of them was to do that.
Yeah.
But I also wouldn't be surprised if he opened with, like pretty similarly, because again, I've seen him do that quite a few times already. Are you surprised by the absence of Immortals and Disruptors both in the last game, or like what? I have no idea what was holding players back from that.
I guess not really, just because I don't feel like the game ever stalled out to that stage, right? I think the problem is because they both expand forwards, how do you ever get an Immortal into a fight? You're always pushing up a ramp. The Immortal's always going to be at the back of the army. So I think it's very difficult to get the Immortals involved. So I think both players kind of said, well, we don't really need these, so let's do everything else. And they both obviously had that plan. And from there, I think if the DTs don't do much, we do start to see a Robobane Disruptors, because that's the natural next step. But like I say, for that part of it, I just think we didn't really get the chance,
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense to me. All right, we are loaded in. And yeah, Neil's camera is on ShoWTimE, so it is ShoWTimE.
And it is Krystianer in the top left-hand side of the map. He is down 1 in this best of 3. Let me keep this off in a sec and see just exactly how things are going to pan out. See what the plan is going to be across the board here for this game number 2. Like I say, we probably expect Krystianer maybe mix it up a little bit, but We'll see. I mean, he was confident in the first game to do what he did. If he still believes in that and he can say, well, I'm not going to die to DTs this time, he could go for the same thing again and approach that macro game. It's just, he's playing against a terrifying opponent. To play against, to play a macro against anyone, ShoWTimE wouldn't be my pick.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. ShoWTimE is one of the best macro players to have ever done it in Europe for sure. So, and I mean, he is just that kind of player that is so conservative, right? Like, again, with the blink, that really, to me, shows kind of like his personality. He's like, he wants to defend, he wants to be safe, he wants to, what's the next step? What's the next step? Run into me, you make the mistake. It's kind of like his philosophy a lot of the time, it feels.
Oh, absolutely. He wants you to be the guy that's like, hey, well, if you want to come kill me, you're very welcome to come kill me, but that's on you, like, that has to be your play.
Yeah.
And, yeah, otherwise he'll just play the macro game, and he knows how good he can be in the macro game as well, which is such a powerful, like, move to be able to make it like, well, I'm super comfortable here, so either you've got to be comfortable against me or, do something different. And he's really good defensively, so he's so good against these different things, but now he's the one to mix it up. He's that robo.
I mean, this is powerful, right? Like, this is what you want to see from ShoWTimE. You want to see him play to his name, to his image, and then completely do a complete flip, and then be like, okay, I'm actually gonna be the one that's doing something sneaky. And it's not like he's incapable, but it's rare. So that makes it all the much more powerful, I think, if he can execute.
Absolutely. As this adept gets there, picks off a probe. I'm looking at the units. I mean, obviously, 2 adepts early don't necessarily help you fight too much as Krystianer, so that's something you're going to be missing out on a little bit. Your first units are maybe not the best in this situation, as the Immortal Chrono boosts away.
Yeah, 2 adepts are going to try to shade in here. There's already a shield battery to block. 2 more stalkers coming out on the side of ShoWTimE to continue to apply pressure, and Krystianer doesn't actually finish, or actually finishes the shade, which is going to force a recall there. Does see that his opponent does not have a Nexus and drops his Nexus, which might as well be a death sentence. I mean, it's going to be difficult to hold this, to say the least.
Yeah, no, it's going to be tough. It's going to be full power. It's going to be full steam ahead in the next few moments. Just going to be seeing that Prism Chrono Boost now. The Robo Facility, the Adept Immortal joining us. I mean, the Oracle doesn't really help you much here either, right? Like, it can go across the map, but right, it's only just about a pop, so maybe you even have to use it as a stasis ward or something, try and buy some time, but that would be very obvious, and I just don't love this at all for Krystianer, as he's going to absolutely be in trouble on the low ground. Yeah, start a Void, or I guess he waits for the Robo to finish, and then he build an Immortal. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I think the Void Ray initially would be the better call, but yeah, right now you're just losing this expansion, and this is already an investment that you're now missing out on.
It's big, and on the other side there's already a battery, so it's not like this Oracle has much chances to equalize. There's a battery and a Stalker, so it doesn't even allow for the Oracle to start trading its energy and start lowering the battery's energy, because the Stalker is gonna out DPS that. So that makes the Oracle completely worthless. Basically, on the other side, well dealt with from the side of ShoWTimE, neutralizing the Stargate, and now Krystianer just, like you said, going for that Immortal, trying to do what he can to stabilize on his high ground. So now we can just expect ShoWTimE will be like, okay, I'm chilling then, I'm just gonna expand and run home with the advantage.
Yeah, and of course before then he can do stuff like this, right? Couple force fields in his favor. He's got the prison and might go out of trouble here, you kill 2 adepts, and obviously that gateway is what you really want to get. Every gateway you knock down is just less production for your opponent. So if you can just net yourself a gateway kill, he'll just take an advantage from being the aggressor. He's really just pushing up this ramp, but with an Immortal there, I think it is time to just kind of lay it off a little bit and just sit back, let your Immortals whack that gate, and then just go from there.
Yeah, he started pro production again, but now goes back for an Immortal and a Stalker again, does ShoWTimE. So I think he wants to continue to apply a little bit of pressure. The Observer will be dealt with, so that is nice for Krystianer. That will relieve some pressure. Now it's just the Warp Prism for ShoWTimE. The rest of his army can't really partake in the poking. It is 2 Immortals in the Warp Prism, so it is a strong tool, but Krystianer has 2 Immortals of his own, so if he's properly positioned, there shouldn't be too much that he can do. And now ShoWTimE should just look for that expansion as soon as possible, I think.
Yep, he's going to pop that down. I mean, it's one of those things, right, where now he can just control this map, he can control this side of it, get his expansion up, take the advantage from all of that, and he's going to be able to play from there as the Oracle continues to cruise around on the right side, just keep seeing what else is going on. So Oracle will just try and poke in, but ShoWTimE's got that under control too. And man, triple Immortal being here is just such a powerful combination of units. They really do pack such a punch. I know there's 2 Immortals on the other side, but ShoWTimE just sitting here with 3 out the front door. And there's just no way for Krystianer to really go across the map to do anything himself, which is threatening right now.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, I like the shades. Oh, he wants to use the shades for actually threatening ShoWTimE on a retreat. One thing that maybe Krystianer could do is, you know, like fake moving out with the Warp Prism. He will actually move out with the Warp Prism, but that's dangerous because ShoWTimE could just push up if he sees, oh, there's no Immortals here. I would have liked for him to hide his Immortals in the back of the base or something, move out with an empty Warp Prism and see if he can bait ShoWTimE into a bad fight. Yeah.
Oh, that's actually a cool idea, but no, he's just going to actually go across the map. The thing is, ShoWTimE's realizing I've got enough of a lead. Nexus finish, I don't need to do much more, so exactly for this reason, in case your opponent is coming to attack you or to deal some damage, now he's going to be at home ready to greet that and to deal with it, and that just puts ShoWTimE in an even better spot once again, right? This really just nets him the best possible place. The Immortals drop down again. They're going to be a little bit annoying to deal with, but in general, we're going to be able to handle this, and he's already getting that Twilight Council up too, so continue to attack. Nexus finished. ShoWTimE actually down a few workers, but Krystianer has workers not even utilized just yet. Yeah, we got to be careful playing those games as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he did kill 3 workers. Could have almost knifed that Immortal, and then all of a sudden Krystianer wouldn't be in the worst position. In fact, he's on the back of killing those 3 workers. He's actually 35 workers to the 31 of ShoWTimE. So as soon as he does get that expansion from relieving that pressure that ShoWTimE was putting on his natural, maybe this is still playable.
Well, Sentry gonna nibble at that Oracle a little bit.
This is a scary attack too, no? Look at the armies.
Yeah, I mean,
can he do it?
It's definitely possible, right? But there is that defense advantage. Just being the defender here, I feel like, is a big deal. You don't have to be pushing into your opponent. I mean, force fields are going to be huge because there's so many force fields available, and the prison door in the main could be a good bait.
Oh,
Stalkers in the main only.
I'm liking it.
Enough? Okay.
I'm believing. Are you believing?
Oh, I believe.
No way.
If you're believing,
type 1 if you're believing in the chat. Okay, if people believe in the chat, type 1, and if people don't believe, type 2. Oh my god, he's going for it. I mean, I like it. This is so crazy. He's been making an army for a while, but there's a War Prism for ShoWTimE with very good micro to save the Immortal. These 2 Immortals in the front as well for Krystianer, putting out a lot of damage. One of the Immortals of ShoWTimE will get taken down. More Adepts are being warped in, which means the probes are going to be easy pickings. A lot of good force fields on the side of Krystianer, and the War Prism for ShoWTimE getting quite low actually, but does manage to micro back one of those Immortals, 1 sliver of health away from dying as the Phoenix now lifts another one to try to contribute. This Immortal is putting out too much damage with no HP, and that might just be enough. It's so close.
As well. Oh my god, he got the barrier back. Now he will lose both of his Immortals. I mean, we can try and chase, but the prism goes down. That's gonna do it.
Not like this.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, that's gonna.
You know what, though?
It's still good.
Yeah, Krystianer actually killed a bunch of workers. So Krystianer's up like 15 workers. ShoWTimE's up in army. So ShoWTimE kind of wants to go across the map and do something. He needs to hard build probes right now, as Krystianer did a lot, but was it enough? I mean, great question, hard to answer.
Yeah, it just comes down to if he can hold this, right? Like, I think if he can hold, he'll be in a good position. He does have some economy here to warp in some units. He did do a lot, and there were some crucial, small, tiniest mistakes. I mean, excellent force fields, but that 1 Immortal that survived with basically 1 hit away from anything from dying for another, 20, 30 seconds, that's too much damage output that should have been removed. And then the War Prism getting sniped. If you have those units back here, easy hold, and maybe you even kill your opponent. That's 4 units in a War Prism, right? So it's tough. ShoWTimE is going inside the main now, trying to make something happen, and Krystianer looking for maybe a little bit of a punish on the low ground. Is just gonna send his Immortals to defend his base.
Yeah, ShoWTimE just gonna blink out. Does know that he's still got the army lead, but wants to be careful. Shame he couldn't finish off the Robo. That would have been a nice catch, as he's gonna try and come in at the front. And again, Stalker numbers are good for him, so he'll absolutely look to kind of continue to utilize that in any way, shape, or form that he can. He do drop a 3rd base down as well, so he's saying, hey, you know what? Nothing else. I've got map control, and he's just going to go straight to trying to use that.
Yeah, ShoWTimE can poke here with his blink, trying to snipe 1 stalker at a time. Does successfully get that plus, a sell it for his troubles. And Krystianer repositions to try to defend his natural expansion. I mean, he's not down and out, but he is going to continue to be lagging behind. ShoWTimE does get that 3rd with his move out, right? So making use of his map control. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have gases at his natural, even though ShoWTimE. So he is not mining super efficiently as compared to Krystianer. I don't know. Maybe this is still doable. What do you think, Wardicho?
I
or
think
is he dead?
No, I think it's playable on both sides. Like, I think ShoWTimE overall is in a better spot. I kind of expect Krystianer to almost know that he needs to do something, but if he's going to wait on Blink, for example, I think that's going to take a very long time to come through, right? And that's maybe where my biggest concern comes from. If we end up waiting that long, I'm not sure if then we realistically have a way to do anything, because by then ShoWTimE's really mining off of this third base and everything as well, so yeah, I think at that stage maybe it's just too little. But if he actually tries to attack one more time, similar to last time, right, where he's like, right, I'm going to send it, and maybe that's just the plan with Blink anyways.
Immortals.
Yeah, maybe it is just going to be strong enough. There's potential there, man. He's, like you say, 5 Immortals, but ShoWTimE's going to have Charge, and Charge and Zealots are going to be way better against those Immortals than anything he had last time around.
Yeah, that is a big problem because the sentries have very little energy as well, so it's not like he can easily section off force fields like ShoWTimE was doing so expertly in the last game against charge lots. But maybe by the time you cross, I mean, maybe if ShoWTimE overcommits a little bit, and you know, like you can get rid of those charge lots on the first set of force fields, there is yet a chance. Because I mean, 5 Immortal as a backbone is insane. Blink is now done. If Krystianer, if there was ever a go time, it's now.
Yep. If there's ever a go time, now would probably be. I mean, the longer you wait, the worse it gets, because ShoWTimE's in that worker lead. He's on the third base, so yeah, you kind of got to send it. ShoWTimE's going to come across. He's going to get a pylon or two. Just try and force his opponent to be in a very difficult position. Obviously, you can recall these Stalkers, and he will know he'll have to do this. He sees the army arriving here, so I can only imagine it's a matter of time before that real call comes off from ShoWTimE. Again, you want to guarantee your opponent is as all in as possible, but I feel like we're already at the point of doing that. Now Stalker, Immortal, Adept comes in. Here's the recall, so you can have units on all sides, but remember, your recall and Stalker is essentially on top of the Immortals here, which is not great. And we have not currently seen the Zealots as, yeah, we do get rid of the Prism, so that goes down quickly, but I'm terrified about the power of these Immortals. Probes and Zealots are going to be the heroes, and they are tanking well right now, Cats.
Yeah, and he can afford to lose as many probes as he wants, 33 to 19, and an extra base as well. So a hold is a win, and a win will be had. Krystianer has to GG out, and ShoWTimE expertly takes game number 2. It was well fought, though.